Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're starting our front page review today with The Nation. Major headline: Federal government proposes 26 trillion naira appropriation for next year. Lawmakers to get supplementary budget. FEC endorses $1.5 billion World Bank loan and 80 million for Ekiti Knowledge Zone. In other news, Akpabio sacked Abo, clash over appeal court verdicts. Food. Fuel prices push inflation to 26.72%. In other news, Umahi Ogun cleared to fix and toll Abeokuta-Ota Road. Kogi West elders endorsed ADC candidates Abejide, and 2 Osun pensioners slum during verification in Osogbo. Ayedatiwa loses bid to stall impeachment. Now, what are we starting with? There's also the last story. Let me quickly read the headline. Empower beneficiaries to get pay backlog from next month. So who has that story?
I do.
Okay, please go ahead.
You want me to start with that? Okay, so the federal government has promised to begin the payment of 9-month backlog to Empower beneficiaries in November. We have Dr. Akindele Eguwale, who is the National Program Manager. In a meeting with some beneficiaries, he made some. He also talked about the fact that Empower program has been renamed Renewed Hope Creation Program. So he says, as a result of temporary suspension of the program for thorough restructuring and forensic audit, funds have been recovered for the existing payment service providers, and plans have been put in place by the program to commence disbursement of the 9 months outstanding stipends to beneficiaries from November 2023. Then payments will also be carried out in installments. He says that about the change of name is in line with the new agenda of the president, the Renewed Hope agenda. So it will now be called Renewed Hope Job Creation Program. And also under the supervision of the Minister, Dr. Betta Edu, they will be expanded to target 5 million beneficiaries in 5 years, where 1 million youths will be absorbed each year under the graduate and non-graduate stream. So that's just basically what's going on with Empower.
So those beneficiaries that were complaining should just relax. They'll be getting their funds soon.
So Senator Elisha Abo of Adamawa was removed by the Court of Appeal yesterday. So the election petition had gone through and he won at the election petition. But the PDP candidate proceeded to the appeal court with an appeal, still questioning valid votes that he got at the election. So he said that he had corrupt practice and non-compliance with the Electoral Act, and he had some overvoting. He had various polling units, alteration, false entries, alterations, cancellation of votes at several polling units, and unsigned voters, what's the final collation thing, like, some were unsigned that that formed these 71,000 votes that he got under his senatorial district. But the PDP candidate insists that he got 61,000 plus votes and they were all valid, and the Court of Appeal upheld that. But then Senator Abo now vexed and say, I know the people behind this. And he points the wish that fly at night. It's you that fly at night that kill the baby in the morning, saying to the Senate president that Senator Godswill Akpabio is behind his sack, and that he knows that the next in line is Senator Odius Okalu, and that he has some people that he's fingering them out of the chambers, and that he's just a victim. Well, we'll see how that goes. I hope
this finger-pointing drama.
But if Odius Okalu should now go,
then we know that there's a trend.
I don't want to believe that the Senate president has a say over the Court of Appeal's decision.
Exactly. I think he should just focus on the case. Was there merit to the case? Was there merit to the judgment? Let's not because of personal brief and bias pull down the hallowed chambers that everybody is going to.
So when they call him, I hope he's able to back it up.
What happened to the 2 pensioners? You had a story?
No, I have the story on Ogun cleared to fix.
Oh, okay.
On Abeokuta-Ota Highway. And so there were 9 roads that this article pointed out. But the Ogun State government had said that they want to construct the Ogun-Abeokuta Lagos-Abeokuta-Ota Expressway by themselves. They don't want the federal government to take charge of it. And gratefully, this request was approved by the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, and one of the things he said was that they're not going to receive funding for it, and they're not going to refund them once.
And they're okay with it?
Yes, they are okay with it. But what they're saying is that they would use tolls to get the cash back, as against just leaving the road open like that. And the government is okay with it. Osun State also is very okay with it. So very soon, we'll see that there will be a construction of the Abeokuta-Ota highway.
Can't wait.
All of us are waiting. I have people that live in that area.
Small like this. I did not have teeth.
No, Nima, that place is not passable right now. You know, not passable at all.
It's been forever.
I wanted to take the story about fuel and food. Truth is, inflation is now officially 26.72%. But in the Nigerian people's pockets, it's like 300 and something percent. However, they have their metrics in which they use in determining these things, and they say that inflation has gone up based on forex and the fact that there's a fuel crisis. The forex removal, its impact on fuel subsidy, which was also removed, and the bandwagon effect on all cost of things going up. Nigerian Bureau of Statistics confirms this inflation, and we are now ranking among the world's top countries with terrible inflationary numbers. We're talking Venezuela. You know, we are 26%. Venezuela is 360%. Well, That's like, we're not in that category, but Venezuela is not where we want to go to. We're not comparing ourselves with the worst of the world, you know, begging for food to eat. So, but Zimbabwe, as all those countries, but the thing is, we need to also take cognizance of the fact before we start going and sliding this far.
We are using 8 trillion of our 24 trillion budget, this proposed budget to
take care of loan. Moving on to the Punch, major headline: 2024 federal government plans 26 trillion naira budget debt servicing to gulp 8.25 trillion. That's what you're talking about, Nima. A lot of our money, the new budget is going into debt servicing. And in other news, this is the picture story, really bad. 20 Osun pensioners suffer exhaustion amid crowded verification. Palliatives: Nigerians condemn poor ration, lambast governors. Third mainland bridge now a death trap. Motorists lament. Akpabio behind my removal. We've taken that story from Senator Elisha Abo, who's alleging that federal government gets over $1.5 billion fresh World Bank AFDB, that's African Development Bank loans, by December from Edu. Subsidy removal, Naira fall, pushes food inflation specifically to 30.64%. Israeli Hamas, Putin demands ceasefire. Cardinal offers sell for hostages. All right, what are we going to take quickly before the break?
So can I quickly go with the pension?
I think let's just take a break. When we come back, we'll start with the stories in the Punch. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. We're still doing front page review, and we're talking about the Punch. So what story are we taking in the Punch?
I was going to take the picture story in the Punch because I experienced that having to travel with my dad. And 20 pensioners suffered exhaustion at the verification center in Osogbo, where they came from other parts of Osun for that verification. Sadly, 2 people were said to have died, but in the Punch I didn't get to that point. They complained about the slow pace of the exercise. They came in early. You know, having to do everything at one location creates this kind of problem. And I don't know why they have to do it every time. So they were suggesting decentralizing it, having centers closer in other areas in Osun. Some of the pensioners who agreed to talk said they arrived at 7:30 in the morning and they left. Some left Ipetu Ijesha, and, you know, they came in wheelchair. They fell from exhaustion, from heat, not having been attended to.
I don't think there's anything. I don't agree that verification is wrong. People die and they don't file death case.
A verification is important.
When we do it. They didn't have sitting area that is conducive. If they were comfortably seated, AC, the place, they were giving refreshments.
Why are we traveling to one particular place for verification? That's one. Because most of them didn't work in Osogbo. Some were teachers. They worked in other areas. That's one. The head of operations of Osun State Emergency Medical was verifying the fact that 20 people fell. So you're dealing with older people. There must be much friendlier way to do these things. Yes. I remember my dad. My father had a colleague who retired before him. And when he retired, he started taking her to the center. But when he died, she just was looking like this, that Alhaji ló máa ṣe gbogbo paperwork yẹn. How am I going to go about it? So sometimes you having one healthy person drive
But
you take
the government is losing a lot of money to people that have paying pension to people that died.
Yes,
and the way they are going about it is not even helping.
Another story.
Yes, I have palliative. So residents, Nigerians across the nation, different states, are complaining about the quantity of palliative foodstuff that has been shared among beneficiaries. Some residents are saying, so they are complaining that they are getting inadequate rice, gari, beans, and monies. Others says they don't even get any palliatives at all. So the punch went around, you know, the different states, asking different people. We have in Zamfara State where a few residents were saying that, CEO, we just got 2 mudus, which is like equivalent of 12 cups of maize. It was supposed to be rice.
12 milk cups.
Yes. And then when they went to the ward in charge of distributing it, they said, we got one bag.
For the entire
exactly,
ward.
and so we gave them. Then when they went to the federal government, to the state government got from federal government 5-trailer load of rice. And then they said the maize, that's the other grains, is from the state government. But still, what happened to it? So in between, what happened to...
But there are lots of people now.
Well, we'll see. They need to give account. Then Delta States do the same story. Like, you know, we just get very little amount of money and rice. We don't get like a complete bag. That will not be enough. I understand you said there's so many people, but if you're really giving palliative, is that enough? Yes, is that enough palliative to cushion this?
We gave an estate quarter bag of rice, and the man did a video and said, "We don't need. What would this do in this full estate?" But you have a story.
Yes, I have the Third Mainland Bridge story. This news has come up over and over again, and most times when we see stories like this, we would keep asking that why are they talking about it? And so we're also in the environment where it is that people just try to manage themselves.
Yeah.
But the Punch is always reporting this story. And in this particular instance, they're saying that motorists are the ones complaining that this issue is the potholes are just too bad, too many, causing traffic, wasting so much time on the road, right?
You have to slow down, and then you're shock absorber.
And the question really is, what does it take to fix the road? How long does it take to fix the road?
But also, they will have to close.
But I've also seen reports where they said they would lock the bridge, they'll close down the bridge for like 2 Sundays.
Yes,
but that even wasn't done because looking at the potholes, they're still there. Yes.
It's really bad, especially when you're going inwards from Oworo to the island.
Absolutely.
It is worse. Coming back, not as bad, but going is really, really bad. Moving on to Nigerian Tribune, major headline: resume or resign. Ondo PDP youth tell Akeredolu they have given him 72 hours as ultimatum, and they vow to sustain their protest. Court to hear Akeredolu Ayedetiwa application. In other news, NIPO staffers shut down head office in protest against the new CEO. Kogi West Elders Forum have endorsed Abejide as consensus governorship candidate, while EFCC ICPC chairman can't come from same zone, from Falano. Federal government begins destruction of $1.2 million worth of pangolin scales. Shomayam will have that story.
I do.
In other news, you can't miss the picture story, the swearing in of Ayodele Olawande, Balarabe Lawal, and Jumaila Ibrahim taking oath as ministers of the Federal Republic before President Tinubu during the FEC meeting that held in the villa yesterday. Akpabio instigated with taking that story. Federal government projects 26 trillion naira for the 2024 budget. And buildings on drain channels. Lagos State government rules out compensation for owners. So sad. All right, what story?
Major story. So PDP youth in Ondo State have given the governor 24 hours to show face. They said that since he returned 32 days ago, he has not made any public appearance, but they've heard that he's continued to work, that he's not even in Ondo State. They're insisting that he's not in Ondo State. He's working from somewhere outside the state. They're saying if he's around, he should make a, come out to do a public appearance, let the people of Ondo know whether they have a governor or not. And if not, he should follow the constitution and do the needful.
Federal government has begun destruction of 3.99 tons of pangolin scales worth over $1.2 million in the international market. So this incineration was done by the government agency, National Environmental Standards and Regulations Agency. They said that they had been in court, for several years, and the arrested illegal traffickers for the contraband items. The NESRA Director General, Professor Ali Joro, said that the substantial destruction of these seized parts of wildlife intended to be traded by traffickers was to send a warning to the international community of Nigeria's determination to fight all illegal scales of wild animal parts being preyed upon. He said that the scales are from 16,000 pangolins that were wasted by poachers, endangering the species. This species is very important to our environment. It's only found in Asia and Africa. And then to have, traffickers just going around capturing these animals and killing them just for their scales. So by this, you're sending a warning, and they're working on policies to make sure that when poachers are found like this and illegal smugglers are found like this, they are locked up without any option of fines,
So I want to take the story about, I'm bantered on this particular story, but we're getting the information from Tokunbo Wahab, who is the Honorable Commissioner for Water Resources, Environment and Water Resources in Lagos State. Is saying that no compensation will be paid to the owners of the houses that were demolished because, one, they didn't have building permits, they didn't have necessary documentation, that there was an estate that was built on the Ikota drainage channel. And this estate has led to massive flooding of 12 villages around the area. From investigation, if they just took out that particular estate, it would ease up the flow of water, and that was what they did. Enough notice was sent to them to move their buildings. When I read that line, I just laughed that, of course, they cannot move the buildings, but there was enough notice given to them prior to that time. They were also notified when construction was going on that they shouldn't have done construction. So the people, but there are two different people at play here. Developers were notified when construction was going on. The developed, sold, and put private citizens into crisis right now. They also said that 3 houses were demolished within VGC that were also on the canal. So waterways and the impact of flooding is causing the Lagos State Ministry of Environment to implement what would be termed harsh consequences for those that are encroached and are affecting the waterways.
I understand that we had to get to this, but what took them so long?
And the commissioner also said that instead of the government compensating them, that they are the ones that are supposed to compensate the government for constituting a nuisance.
Yes.
Oh, you have that story?
That was my story.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Who has okay, let's move on to
Vanguard.
Let's move on to Vanguard quickly. PDP, Labour Party fire federal government as cost of food items drive inflation to 26.7%. Lagos issues 7-day quit notice to vehicles on bridges. I think that's a very important story we should take. Women Affairs Minister sue UN over management of donor funds. And Super Eagles beats 10-man Mambas 3-2.
So I have the Lagos Bridges story. So the special advisor to the governor on transportation, Honorable Giwa, has issued a warning, 7 days notice, which started yesterday, to all motors, drivers operating the Akpongbo, Idumota, Kata Bridges, Elegbeta, Ebutero, Ejalonibu, all of them should immediately, with urgency, vacate these areas as soon as possible before LASMA takes the enforcement to ensure zero tolerance of parking on those bridges.
Women Affairs Minister is, she said she's going to sue the UN over management of donor funds. She was speaking in a TV interview, and she says that the United Nations needs to publish monies collected from donors for the benefit of Nigerians in 30 days or risk a legal action.
I think that's interesting because a lot of money is donated to them, and they said the money tends to, I've watched, there's a conspiracy about how the international, the money comes back to their economy. It doesn't come into the country that they're supposed to give the aid to. We're taking you to court. That's from our Minister for Women Affairs. That's what we can take on front page review for today. When we return, we have a very juicy topic. One of our veteran elders in the entertainment industry has said something, and we're going to be bantering about how that impacts on the youths of today. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.